What up, what up, what up? Welcome back to Lockdown Universe, home of the bizarre, peculiar, and unheard of stories of UFO legend and paranormal lore. Welcome back, welcome back. Happy to be back. Hopefully you guys are doing excellent and taking care of yourselves. So today, we're going to talk about how all the social media networks are probably ran by reptilians and probably harvesting your soul energy. And this is not a joke. This is serious. So I want to bring up some points to this. The last podcast I did was about how the social media networks internalized and did internal investigations into how they use your information. Now we're going to see how they could use your negative energy against you to keep you coming back, to keep you creating negative louche energy for them to harvest and utilize us as an alien ant farm, feeding farm for themselves. Okay? So I guess, I don't know if I have to put a disclaimer on this or not. This is for speculative fiction only. And the claims in this podcast are for entertainment purposes only. But I think we all know the deal. So, what if I told you the algorithm was broken? What if I told you that it wasn't meant for you? Well, what if I told you that they're using your negative energy to create an energy for their feeding source? That the news, way before social media came around, had been running for years and has been run by reptilians. Because it's a natural feeding factory, okay? Think about this for a second, okay? It doesn't take a genius. If you believe that there are aliens out there, and if you believe that the reptilians are millions upon millions of years beyond us, and we've been hearing reports of how they utilize louche from not only David Icke, but Robert Monroe, who created the programs for Project Stargate for people to be able to come out of their bodies and go to different dimensions. He warned us that these reptilians were highly negative and were using energy that was produced from humans as a negative, a positive for them, but negative energy from us to feed them to continue their life cycle. And it makes sense. All energy has to go somewhere. It does. Positive energy is great, but positive energy doesn't sell. And that's the problem, is that all of these social media aspects and companies, they know that. Facebook did its own internal investigation. They fed a whole bunch of people positive news to see if they would post positive news after that. They did. They post a bunch of negative feeds and posts on certain users' pages. And what did they do? They posted negatively. Now, let me ask you a question. What do you think gets the most engagement? Do you think it's happy-go-lucky stuff? Stuff about people's gardening? Stuff about how nice of a day they're having? Or do you think it's conflict? Do you think it's about the wars? Do you think it's about Black Lives Matter? Do you think it's about Blue Lives Matter? Do you think it's about how the Trump people don't like or dislike Trump? Do you think it's about immigration? Do you think it's about all of these things? People are going to engage with that stuff. People are going to tune in. They're going to say what they want to say, and then they're going to dip out. And all of these social media networks know that, and they're using it for their benefit, okay? Like I said yesterday, internal research from Facebook itself, which was leaked by Frances Haugen in 2021, it confirmed that generating anger and anxiety, and that's one of the key things, is anxiety makes people watch more and more and more because they're anxious about what's going to happen in the future. It consistently outperformed other types of engagement in reach and engagement. And the algorithm basically amplified that a ton, and because the outrage just kept people scrolling. So people become more and more aware of what's out there. They engage more with it. They get more outraged. And what do you think happens to your health? Your blood pressure skyrockets. Your energy field is becoming annihilated with all this negative energy. And it's just bad for your whole health. You can't fight that off with food or mechanics. I mean, you have to spiritually, mentally turn that shit off so it doesn't continue to affect you. And this is really important because a lot of people don't even think about this shit anymore. They just continually fucking scroll. And since 2020, we've had nothing but time. Well, we had nothing but time on our hands to scroll through things, make our own TikToks, think it was fun. And then we come to find out that they've been using us for money, which we knew, but we didn't know that they continually would feed us outrage stuff so that we would continue to engage and continue to want to get back on the app. Because if you have anxiety, that's something that's insidious and people don't know how to handle it. We still don't know how to handle it. People handle it with medication. They handle it with other kinds of medication. They handle it with other kinds of medication. They try to handle it with exercise, diet, meditation, prayer, whatever. And it doesn't always work. So they resort to flipping through the screen to find their doom scroll, and they just get further and further down the rabbit hole. And that's a fucking problem for our mental health. Social media is a mental health crisis, and we need to do something about it. We need to have lawmakers say, hey, this is a big problem. This is causing a mental health crisis. We know it's causing a mental health crisis. Internal documents show that it's causing a mental health crisis, and nobody's doing anything. Why do you think that is? Probably because the people that are propagating this shit are using it for their advantage. They are using it for the negative energy. They are using it to create adrenochrome, which is the blood being oxidized in a certain way to create a high stress environment for the blood. I know blood needs to be oxidized. Don't give me that shit. I'm talking about how they scientifically put it. Let me put it this way. Adrenochrome is a real compound. It's the oxidation of a product of adrenaline, okay? So it's not just the blood, it's the oxidation product of adrenaline. Epinephrine. Now, what do they use epinephrine for? To get the heart pumping, right? It forms naturally in our human body, and it's been studied since the 1950s. Researchers Abraham Hoffer and Humphrey Osmond proposed in the 1950s that adrenochrome might play a role in schizophrenia, hearing voices, seeing objects that might not be there, a theory that was called the adrenochrome hypothesis. Now, let me ask you a question. What happens when you have schizophrenia? You see things that aren't there and you hear voices. What if the reptilians were around and were taking that adrenochrome, absorbing it from a human being? You might hear voices because they can't be seen. You might see things that are not there out of the corner of your eye because these are interdimensional beings we're talking about. And this was a serious science published peer-reviewed journal. Okay, so this is interesting. Okay, there was brief research done into the psychedelic when it came to like even Hunter S. Thompson writing Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas. That's where the pop culture adrenochrome got mainstream, right? The theory is that the elites are harvesting adrenochrome from everyone, but especially terrified children, as a life extension drug or to psychoactively trip out. Okay? Now, if they can do that, then they can continue their negative propaganda to fill their bodies, to fill the void that they need, and maybe they need a lot of it. Okay? So let's go to the social media aspect again and the researchers and tell you what it's about. So what about Robert Monroe? What did he say? What did he see? So Robert Monroe, who was he? He was a successful radio broadcast executive in the 1950s. He began to experiment with some of his science and some of his radio broadcasting, and he started to have involuntary out-of-body experiences. He started to make tapes that would put him into a relaxed state that would allow him to have out-of-body experiences and continue to tweak it until the government got interested. And then he started to write books and then make a foundation so that an institute in Virginia, which is called the Monroe Institute, where people can go even today and continue to learn from the research that was conducted by the military, intelligence community, and academia. And he wrote a book in 1971 called Journeys Out of the Body, which is later another book called Far Journeys in 1985. He described his out-of-body encounters and what he interpreted as non-human intelligences. In one of these encounters, out-of-body, he stated he received information about something called loosh. He said that he communicated at a very high level in a different dimension, multiple different dimensions above what he had normally gone to, which stated that there were entities that needed this loosh energy to feed off of, to live, to survive. And they stated that the energy was produced by living beings, specifically humans, but also other entities that were consistently at a continual conflict between each other. And during these strong states of emotion, fear, grief, and suffering, ecstasy, and even love sometimes, if it's angry enough, it can be harvested, collected, and used as a resource by these other entities. And this is not surprising, considering that a lot of these negative entities that we hear about cause a lot of pain wherever they go. Sometimes they'll injure people. Sometimes they'll spiritually attack people. Sometimes they'll, bring you down, make you feel depressed, make you feel anxious, make you feel all kinds of things, set things in motion in your life that would cause you more stress than you should have. So again, this framework was basically that Earth was a loosh farm. Humans were, whether it's by design or not, a generator of this loosh energy, and certain non-human intelligence were farming this. And it's not that surprising. We farm all kinds of things: chickens, goats, dogs, cows, lamb, sheep, all of that for our food. So it's not that surprising that we would be farmed, except if you were a higher spiritually evolved entity, you don't have to eat anymore. You can absorb it. Think about that for a moment. Now, is this true? According to Monroe, he became seriously depressed for multiple weeks after this particular engagement. Now, that's important to remember because Monroe had been doing this for years and years and years. Now, later on, David Icke picked this up, or David Icke. I think it's David Icke. He's kind of a polarizing guy. He was over in England. He's a former BBC sports presenter, and he had a breakdown in 1991 where he announced he was the son of God on national television, and spent the next 30 years basically building off of that and making his own conspiracy theory. But his conspiracy theory connected to the loosh in that the reptilian entities feed on lower frequency emotional energy created by human suffering. Fear specifically, but war and poverty and guilt, and the media terror that feeds off of our fears. What do they lead with news? If it bleeds, it leads. That is the quote that executives would give to the reporters that were making the evening news. If it bleeds, it leads. Why? Because humans have, for millions and millions of years, been concerned with their own survival. And if they can survive, then that's a good thing, right? But they have to be aware of a threat. So if it bleeds, it leads. It's something we need to know. We're going to watch it. And that's the problem with social media, is that it's continually feeding into that negative need to know, that negative anxiety, that negative survival instinct that humans have and have always had. We're just not prepared enough to receive it through multiple swipes and a doom scroll. And this is spiraling people out of control. This is creating the mental health crisis. This is why we need to have detox farms, digital detox farms, so that people can get off their phone. They can find what's important. They can get back to what's important and do positive things off of the phones. It just makes sense. So let's go back to social media real quick here. I feel like if I was one of the individuals working for a Facebook or a TikTok or a YouTube or a Google, and looking at what's going to be continual engagement, they make money off ads, right? We talked about this last time. They make 75 to 90% of their income is ads. So the only way to get people to see ads is to keep them on the platform, right? And the only way to keep them on the platform, they know from their research, push negative or extreme content. So if I'm sitting there and I'm an engineer and I'm thinking, okay, well, if I can boost our income, I'm going to get a bonus. Mark Zuckerberg or Jeff Bezos or whoever, is running Twitter, Elon Musk, if they tell me I'm going to get a bonus, then as an engineer, you're going to say, okay, well, how can I manipulate the algorithm to keep people on the platform more? What's the next method to push an extreme agenda to keep people who are anxious and have anxiety on the platform? Well, they're going to push anxiety medication, right? Natural medication, right? They're going to push that. Then they're going to push an extreme video to make you anxious. And then they'll give you a few of those. Then maybe they'll pop a positive ad, because we know that throwing a little monkey wrench in the way, like an alternative video, keeps the abstract going, keeps your mind guessing what's next. I don't know. Well, I want to get back to what I was at, but they're showing me this real quick have you video. Let me scroll past that and get to the next thing. It's that continual dopamine hit that fucks people up continually and makes them need medication and makes them want to buy the shit off TikTok or Facebook or whatever. And all these ads come pouring in, and it's all continually about money on the business side. But guess who gets the benefit of the loosh and the adrenochrome and all that? The really high elites, or maybe the alien leaders that are running some of these companies. Or you can consider some to be principalities, right? We've heard about these in the Bible, where the principalities push humans towards something. So maybe you might not have a Zuckerberg that's an alien, but you might have him having a bunch of principalities or negative demons or negative aliens or whatever, reptilians, pushing him and saying, hey, Mark, guess what? Push the negative agenda, push the anxiety agenda, push the depression agenda, because if we do that, you will become rich. And he doesn't even have to actually hear it. It just has to go into the subconscious, which we know that the aliens can manipulate us through subconscious capabilities, telepathic communication, and so on and so forth. So this is really, really scary, interesting, but something you need to be aware of, present about, because you can fight against it. You can go against it. You don't have to dive into the rabbit hole. We can get out of the rabbit hole. We just have to be able to put our phones down. We have to get the future generations to put the tablets down, the computers down, the watches that are going to come out, the tattoo that'll eventually be on our wrist, right? That'll be a continual feed, or maybe everybody will have the internet in their head, not from like the Neuralink, but from a Bluetooth-like signal, or Wi-Fi-like signal. We might not even need these phones in the near future. I mean, in 100 years, we're not going to be holding phones. I can guarantee you that. It's going to be totally gone. It's going to be some other kind of technology. People already have the glasses, and you don't have to hold a phone anymore. So we talked about Ike. Now, the founders, right? Look at this. Mark Zuckerberg famously described his early users as dumb fucks for trusting him with their data. That's documented. It's from an internal memo conversation in 2004. Think about that. Dumb fucks for trusting him with their information and their data. So if I was you and I read this like I'm reading it now, I would delete Facebook. I would delete it, wipe my phone, and start from scratch. Granted, he was 19 years old. People change, but basically his foundational attitude, creating the algorithm, is your first impression is usually right. And if his first impression was people are stupid for trusting him with their data, he's probably right, even still, maybe even more so. Now that we have more monitoring and more understanding of what makes them money, and they know it too. Google founders, Sergey Brin and Larry Page, Both basically retreated from public life, but Page in particular became one of the most reclusive billionaires on the planet, reportedly spending a significant time on a private island in Fiji. His public statements in recent years are basically non-existent. Why would he move to a private island in Fiji, do you wonder? Is it because it's away from all the data centers? It's away from all the major computers, technology, all of this modern world conveniences? Yeah, sure, I'm sure they have some nice stuff in Fiji, but at the end of the day, they don't have all of this stuff. They're an island isolated. There was ByteDance, which created TikTok and eventually sold it. The creator, Zhang Yiming, he created the company, and at 38, he cited he lacked the social skills to be a good manager because he had continually been on social media. He wanted to pursue learning and thinking. Think about that. He had no more social skills. He just wanted to be away. Is that from the fact that he continually made the network and got absorbed into it? Now, is this any evidence of anything reptilian? Possibly. We have the Ike framework. We have the Robert Monroe framework. Adrenochrome we talked about. The social media angle. The algorithm, we know for a fact, produces mass psychological terror which could generate loosh energetically, and it creates, and this is really important, cultural conditions that affect us, like everything from how we view different countries, to how we view different people, to how we view pets, food, cultures, like I said, countries again. I mean, to the weather, everything. It manipulates how we think about things, everything. And it normalizes fear because you continually are swiping through it. And it's like, oh, well, it's on my phone. It's okay. No, not everything on your phone is okay. And you should know that. The normalization of fear, the shrinking of like communities to like just a singular point, a dissolution of protective social structures. It basically just annihilates everything that keeps us in a good headspace, and it breaks down your headspace and makes it very, very, very negative. Fear makes people easier to control. That part, that's not a theory. That's a fact. And somewhere, in the organizational charts of shareholder meetings, congressional testimonies, there's a layer of interest in here, that none of the executives or even the engineers fully, truly see. The platforms are not, they were initially built to connect people, quote unquote, even though Zuckerberg stole it from the Winklevoss twins. The platforms now, what they do is they concentrate people's worldview into a very minute window. And that window is your phone. And your phone is what you believe. And what you believe the world is what you believe you are going to interact with. So when you go out into that world, you might become a very much more anxious person, which may make you do things you would normally not do. So keep that in mind. This is screwing with millions of years of evolution on the nervous system, and it's fucking us up going out into the world. So this algorithm is not optimized for your mental health. It's optimized for reptilian loosh or capitalist gains. Okay, whatever you think you're benefiting from, you're equally and more hitting a wall on your spiritual, emotional, and physical health with these apps. The more you're on these apps too, the less you're physically moving, the less you're mentally engaging with somebody else, the less you're reading a book, right? Get off of this. Read a real book. Hold it in your hands. The technology is the screen is continually spinning. It's not good. I don't even want to look at it. My days off, I am off of everything, and I keep my eyes off of it. And I hang out with my dogs, and I hang out with my family and friends because I don't want to continually push this stuff into my body. It's horrible for you. So whether you want to call it loosh, whether you want to call it negative capitalism, whether you want to call it, whatever, it's all negative, and it's running 24 hours a day, carried voluntarily by us in our hands. We built the farm ourselves. We're paying for it with our spiritual and mental health. We carry it in our pocket, and we're getting constantly bombarded by the rays. If you want to carry your phone with you, that's fine. Turn off the Wi-Fi. Turn off the mobile data until you really need it. Take care of your health. Get your walks in. Listen to music on your phone, that's fine, but pre-record it, pre-download it, so you don't have to keep streaming it, so you're not keep getting bombarded by all these signals. If you have Spotify, you can do that. If you have a lot of apps, you can do that for free. And keep in mind, Facebook, TikTok, YouTube, they're all constantly running experiments on hundreds of thousands of people. Facebook ran a secret emotional manipulation experiment on 700,000 people. And that's just a small one-time leaked experiment, okay? When you sign up for this stuff, you're signing away your rights. You're saying, yes, you can use my information for whatever, and you don't even know about it because you don't read it. You don't read the terms and conditions. You just sign off on it so you can get into it. And this is crazy because some countries don't even know what they're signing, and they have one moderator in Palo Alto, California for a country of 54 million people. It's crazy. It's crazy. All this stuff is coming out of California, Palo Alto, okay? Keep that in mind. Now, I don't know if there's reptilians, but I believe there are. I don't know if loosh is real, but I believe energy is real. I don't know if you fear, I don't know if you fear the feel that you get every time you open your phone that something, it's so important you have to see it, but it is addictive, very addictive. Your attention is the most valuable thing that you have because it's where your energy goes, which is where your future goes, which is where your spirit goes. Keep that close to your heart. Keep that in your mind and keep that moving in a positive direction. I love you guys. I don't want you guys to be trapped in this hellhole spiral that they've created. So if you go out, if you close the app, the loosh farmers and harvesters hate that. If you go outside, you touch grass, the aliens, the negative aliens hate that. If you go out and hug a tree, the companies hate that. Okay? Because you're not on the app. Because you're doing something for yourself. You're bonding with nature. You're getting back to our roots. Go plant some food. Go plant a tree. Go help your neighbor plant a tree. Go mow the yard. Organize your garage. Do some art. Make music. Not on these fake music apps. Make music with your friends, family, on real instruments. Get back to our roots. That's the important thing. Think about that moving forward into the future and teach your kids about this. It's super important. All right, guys, I'm going to let you go. Take care of yourselves. Follow through on your hobbies and your goals and your dreams. Protect your spiritual, physical, and mental health. And as always, continue to question the universe around you. Till next time, take care. Lifetime Universe out. Peace.